Welcome back to the channel, guys. What's going on? We're going to take a look at Pokemon Center ETBs today. We're going to revisit. We're going to go down memory lane. We're going to go back to the 1st of Jan 2025 when I first dropped this video, and we're going to see what's changed. We're going to see what actually played out well. We're going to deep dive into the numbers. We're going to number crunch. So make sure you stay with me, guys, through all this. You're going to learn some very valuable things, and I'm pretty sure you'll be better off if you stick around. So if you like this type of content, guys, consider subscribing. Give me a like, dislike, comment down below. It helps the channel greatly. It just gets the exposure out there for everyone else to sort of join this type of collection investment channel. It'd be great to welcome some new people. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this. This was the first slide I started with in 2025. I just wanted to recap if people didn't already know. So in June 2021, Pokemon released the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box. Right, this is the first installment in Chilling Reign, and it retailed for £40. And I think this was the start of something historic in the Pokemon world. So after that, they pivoted at the start of Scarlet and Violet. This is very important, very important. So they had a they had a good product. It wasn't selling, I don't think, as well as Pokemon had hoped. They thought it would be an exclusive Pokemon item because they only sold it on the Pokemon Center, didn't sell it anywhere else. But it wasn't exclusive enough. I don't think the collectors, the fans, the players really felt like they were getting anything sort of exclusive in it compared to normal Elite Trainer Box. And that's where they pivoted, right? They introduced the stamp promo. They introduced the fact that you got 2 promos and extra packs, so on and so forth. So this is very important that they pivoted at the start of Scarlet and Violet era. Very important stuff. So like I said, we're going to go through all the data today, all the data that I've collected. Make sure you pause the video if you want to obviously take a couple minutes to sort of have a look at the numbers in its totality by yourself. The eagle-eyed, you'll see the game percents. So essentially they're for the 24th of December. The first column is always the 24th of December, and then the next column would be the in May sort of price time. So its current price back then was December, and then current May price is today, so May. And the same with the gains, same with the current price and current price down towards the right-hand side for the regular ETB. So we've got the Pokemon Center ETBs on the left and the regular ETB on the right-hand side there. So pause the video. If you want to sort of deep dive into numbers yourself, you'll probably see some very interesting things going on in the game percents, etc. in Sword and Shield. Obviously, we know that that's popped off recently. So previously, on the previous episode, Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, PC ETBs. So PC ETBs were clearly outperforming regular ETBs for Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield. Not greatly for Sword and Shield, only marginally, but Scarlet and Violet, because of the pivot, they pivoted at the start of Scarlet and Violet, they've been outperforming regular ETBs drastically. So screenshot that in your mind quickly, and we're going to go over currently 212% to 60%, 230% to 200%. So what can we see? Sword and Shield has taken off like a rocket ship to the moon, right? It's gone from 61 to 230, and regular ETBs have gone up to 200%. So the PC ETBs have maintained their lead, which is important because it means obviously they're exclusive. It's good for me to see that on average over the block that they're maintaining their value and their exclusivity. So it gives me some long-term sort of a longer-term horizon data sort of stuff going on that I know long-term they'll PCTBs will be valued in the future, which is great to see. And Scarlet and Violet has obviously the disparity is between them has continued to widen, right? 212 to 60%. Widening the fact that the percentage is so great. Obviously, it was negative for the regular ETBs back then, but we've seen some recent appreciation, mainly because some of the stuff will start going out of print soon. It's just started, guys. It's come to the two-year window. their reprint horizon, and I think Pokemon will keep that going forward, which is important. It's important for collectors and investors because this is where the value comes in. That they won't, the supply is fixed at that point in time, on a broader basis, and we can see going forward. Then it's just the fact that the demand chips away from the supply, the price goes up, right? So, what does that correlate to in terms of gains for PC ETBs in time horizons? So, in December, on average, you'd be getting 12% gain for your Scarlet and Violet boxes per month, and around 2% for Sword and Shield. So back then, this should have been, and for me, maybe I wasn't sort of aware of it so much, that this was a clear indicator to me that Sword and Shield was undervalued. And maybe I didn't. I see it now. I don't think I really woke up to the fact of it back then. But obviously now, being in the present, you see it, right? You see the pump. Everything is flying off the shelf. Well, flying off resellers for Sword and Shield. So 12% to 2% per month. Fast forward to today, 19% to 6%. Right? It's the gap has narrowed between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, which is great to see. In my opinion, Scarlet and Violet has obviously continued to accelerate to 19%, which is a crazy monthly return, guys. Crazy monthly return. And I'm not sure whether this is going to extend into the future. It's obviously 19% per month is not sustainable. There's obviously some outliers, and there's some things that Pokemon need to address in terms of reprints. But 19% is a great return, and I think maybe it will start settling down now. Well, depending on Destined Rivals, but it potentially could be settling down around this time. So, what have been the best performers? Some very interesting things going on here, guys. Fusion Strike to the moon. PC ETBs, 299% difference between December and now. That is not since the start, right? That is not comparing it to MSRP, which is what I normally do. This is between December and now. Right, almost 300% for Fusion Strike PC ETBs, and it's crazy to see the regular ETBs are pretty much keeping up in line with the Pokemon Center version, and that's, in my opinion, that is because it was the pre-pivot. You can take that as you will. It might change in the future where the Pokemon Center ones are a lot more exclusive because there was less printed, ideally, in my view, but. It's very cool to see the regular ETB keeping up with the PC ETB, but you would expect that to be offset in Scarlet and Violet because there's a bit more value there. And going forward, we should continue to see that for Scarlet and Violet. Evolving Skies, obviously, big dog. You can't really fault Evolving Skies. I think it's pretty much a good investment any day of the year. The demand will be there for ever and a day. 290% to 250%. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there. I feel like people are valuing the Pokemon Center ones a bit more. And then we go to Scarlet and Violet base. Wow. In all of the time between December and now, and all of the sets, Scarlet and Violet base has come in third place. Pokemon Center ETBs. Isn't that crazy? 266% since between December and now gain for Scarlet and Violet Pokemon Center base ETBs. That's crazy. Compared to the regular ETB, which is 48%. Now, this is the sort of trend that I see playing out in the future with Scarlet and Violet. Now, obviously, we've got a very looming issue right now, in my opinion, to do with the Pokemon Center ETBs. I feel like they're printing a lot more. They are printing a lot more Pokemon Center ETBs than they did at the start of Scarlet and Violet base. Like, it started with Scarlet and Violet base, right? So I think they printed a lot less then, because obviously they didn't really know how it would be, how it would be received by the community, the market. But as you can see, Prismatic is still outpacing pretty much everything in terms of Scarlet and Violet era, and it's still just come out. So 259% to 111%. We've obviously yesterday, in terms of when I'm making this video, we had a second prismatic evolutions drop in the UK. That's I'm pretty much sure. I'm pretty sure that's a week after the American drop. So we should see that number start coming down, maybe slightly, maybe a good 30%, 40% come down. So it might drop into that 200%, range, and but it's still very impressive for a few days, essentially a few months, right? It's released in January. For a few months, it's crazy compared to Scarlet and Violet base guys. To just put in comparison, has been out for 2 years. 2 years. That's crazy. That like the prismatic is giving you a 2-year return in the space of 5 months, 4 months, which is why obviously the scalpers and everyone else is really trying to get their hands on prismatic because it is just instant gain there really. But I still think long term, prismatic is going to perform very well. It's going to perform very well. I think it's going to be similar to Evolving Skies, where no matter how much you print, the demand is going to be there. And it potentially could be the same for Destined Rivals and maybe the sneaky little Charizard set that's been released or leaked recently. So yeah, we can see where that goes. We can see where that goes. But what do you want to get out of this video, right? You want to know where the value is right now. So I've come up with a few metrics of determining value that are interesting. Ratio of gain. So I basically compared the gain percent between the PC ETBs and the normal ETBs, and if I think it's the best value for money in terms of ratio of gain is the Pokemon Center exclusive trainer box for celebrations, right? That means that the normal ETB has outgrown the Pokemon Center version, its counterpart, but more, right? Drastically more. And the fact that it's less than one just means that the normal ETB is growing a lot faster, right, than the Pokemon Center ETB. So now that gives that signaling to me that there's an opportunity there that could go forward in the future, right? It could play out as a play, but there might be a good few reasons for this. Some people, it might be that the normal ETB, people like the design, right? I prefer the normal ETB design. It's simpler. It pops more. It also might be because the Pokemon Center version got printed a hell of a lot in terms of back then, in terms of numbers, I think pretty sure it got released a good few times on the Pokemon Center. It didn't just have one drop. I remember it did not just have one drop. So it might be a mixture of all these different variables that is allowing it to underperform its regular ETB counterpart. But it has still seen gains, right? That doesn't mean it's not making gains. It's making very good gains, but compared to what the gains of the normal ETB, it's underperforming its normal ETB version, right? Okay, so that's that. Paldean Fates, I've used a different metric, same for Twilight over there. It's the ratio of Pokemon Center to normal ETBs. So instead of the gain percent ratio, what I've done is I've taken the price, but it's the price difference. It's not just the ratio. So it's a price difference. So it's the Pokemon Center version minus the normal MSRP, and then divided by the normal. So it means how fast is the Pokemon Center, or what's the multiple that the Pokemon Center version is making gains upon the normal one. So 0.3 is giving us a value of less than one, way less than one. So it's the Pokemon Center version is only 30% more than the normal ETB, right? It's very low. So it's basically signaling to me that the Pokemon Center version isn't getting a premium put on it in terms of pricing. And same for Twilight. They're both very, very undervalued in terms of if you're comparing it to the normal ETB. So at 0.2, that's crazy. And let me tell you why. That just got a reprint, right? Twilight Masquerade Pokemon Center ETB got a huge reprint. a huge reprint. You could get it on the Pokemon Center for a good few hours. This was while the bots were going on as well, um, and I feel like all the people that had bots, they got it all, and they've just dumped it on eBay. They have every single. If you go on eBay, there is so many Pokemon Center Twilight Masquerade boxes available for £10 over MSRP. If there was one product I would recommend getting over MSRP, it is Twilight Masquerade, because it's not even that much over MSRP, and it's Pokemon Center exclusive. It's a great set, right? People have already shown that this set is in great demand. For the cards, the Greninja, obviously, all the trainer illustrations. At point two, cheap, very very cheap. I obviously going forward, you never know how things are going to play it, but I think Pokemon are pretty much done with Twilight. I know they've got 2 years, so they might print some extra things and some, maybe the booster box, maybe a few of the booster bundles, maybe I guess put in collection boxes, cartons, etc. But in terms of big prints on big items like this, I think we're pretty much done. I think Pokemon have got way too much to focus on. They already have to reprint Destined Rivals. They already need to reprint Black and White. They probably haven't even started it, and they have to reprint it. So, you know, they've got some things they need to focus on, and Twilight is not one of them, right? It's not one of them. It's meant to be exclusive, so I think that stays. I think we stick with the long-term trend. It looks like a pickup, right? So we'll see in a few months from now how that plays out. But these guys, in terms of metrics, they look undervalued compared to their normal ETB. Okay, so let's recap on some of the positives of Pokemon Center ETBs and negatives, and then we can sort of see where we're at in terms of the video. So extremely good short-term return. Obviously, it's a positive for someone that's investing. It's obviously a negative if someone wants something cheap. Exclusive Pokemon Center promo. Everyone knows that now. Very cool. The market's made its mind up. They love it. Very high demand from marketplace, just in general, for the Pokemon Center ETBs, that you can tell because they're always sold out. Limited supply. Now, this is something that I put in my last video. This is all recapped. Now, it's in red this time because it's got me thinking how limited this supply now is becoming, because you take away this demand in any sort of way, and the supply really isn't that limited. The amount they're printing now compared to some of the Sword and Shield ETBs is probably like multiple, like in terms, like almost probably, two-digit multiples of what they used to print. And when we get these print numbers towards the end of this year, it'll be interesting to see how much they actually printed this year. Oh, I'm dreading to think how much, but it's great, right? It's great that they print more and they get the product out there. It's very good if the demand is drastically high. That's what we need, right? We need the prices to come down. But in terms of a collector's item, if you're more of a collector and you're looking for exclusivity, it's definitely gone down. In my opinion, it's gone down just because the amount that they've made. People could always sell the same amount of what they get later on in life. It doesn't mean that it's less scarce. It just means more people have them, right? Which is fair enough. Superior returns compared to other products. We know it's a premium item that the market's placed premium value on it, and because of that, the returns are drastically greater than other counterparts. So there's a lot of negatives. Some of them are a bit minor, but it's hard to bulk buy because there's purchase limits, and obviously right now the demand is through the roof. It's harder to store because there's more volume per pack or per box, so that you only get 11, in a box, but booster boxes you get 36, right? But it's the same sort of size, but booster box is probably smaller. Higher price per pack. If you're ripping, it doesn't really make sense. More expensive than regular ETBs. If you just want an ETB, then get the cheaper version, right? Higher demand, so you can sell out too fast. Massive issue right now on Pokemon. Massive issue. Only one source of purchasing. Again, exclusive, but it's harder to get because there's only one place you can buy it. Quality control of Pokemon Center. I feel like they've been better of late in terms of the box, maybe not the cards, but the box. Some people still get boxes damaged, etc. Shrink wrap cut and damaged, but you know it's hard to avoid completely when you're in this space. Liquidity long term, I believe that question mark can be removed now. I think the liquidity for these products will remain, and just from looking at Scarlet and Violet base, looking at Sword and Shield, guys, the demand is still there, and they're still placing a premium on Pokemon Center ETBs. Now, this sort of time in the hobby reminds me of Star Wars, right? You have to be careful, guys. I'm erring on the side of caution right now. The print runs, the drastic amount of print run is it's not scaring me, but I'm starting to be aware of how much they're printing, right? And I think in the future, if the demand ever goes away for whatever reason, you know, global economic crisis, world war, whatever reason, the prices are going to absolutely tank because there is so much product out there, which I would love. I would love if the product tanked because I can buy cheap product. I don't have to deal with all these scalpers in the hobby. I don't have to deal I take out loads of people because they all leave the hobby. Great. I can access product. I look forward to that. But in terms of risk management, in terms of thinking about buying things over MSRP, in terms of making riskier plays, I'm now erring on the side of caution right now. And I feel like I'm still buying a lot of product. I'm still buying at MSRP. I'm still buying good product, good sets. But I am more weary of the fact that something could happen going in the future, and that it's always a smart thing to mitigate risk and just beware of what could happen and all the eventualities. So that's all I'm saying is, before you start taking out loans and you start taking, if you start paying over MSRP for everything, just be aware that whatever goes up can come down, right? And that is just the nature of investing. It's the nature of this hobby. And when it does come down, because it eventually will, whatever goes up has to come down, guys. Especially when we're in such crazy times. The new set, there'll be a set one day where it will release and it will flop, right? Because the people think the set's bad, like Shrouded Fable. Imagine if they do a couple sets like Shrouded Fable. It still probably do well right now, but in terms of the future, and they print so much of it, it's going to be like Shining Fates all over again. So yeah, just be careful. Just be careful with where you're placing your money and what you're doing with it. That's all I'm saying. But guys, I hope you learned a lot in this video. There was a lot to digest. There was a lot of numbers. Feel free to go back and pause. But I still feel like there's a bright future for Pokemon ahead, and it's a cyclical hobby. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and I'll be there through all of them. So with that, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please consider sending me a like in the comments down below, whatever you want to do. If you've learned something, that's my sort of feedback from you guys that I know I've done a good job. So thank you very much for watching. I will catch you in the next video, guys. See you in a bit.